Look, we turning conversation into application. This ain't for you if you can't handle deep communication. I see too many trying to teach when they need all the teaching. If you can't practice what you preach, then what's the point of speaking? Look, we thank the Lord for another season. Don't think they ready for you, Lee. I think them boys are sleeping. But we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the converSAYtion podcast. My name is Leon Reed Jones. I am your host, and today we have a very special guest in the building. This guest today has a BSE in material, if I believe correctly, material science, correct? Material science, and she has a MPH in health policy and management, and she is currently pursuing her PhD in the health infrastructure and learning systems program within the medical school department of health sciences at the University of Michigan. And she has an impressive 5-year background in healthcare, including diverse organizations such as Emory Healthcare, Optum, and Kaiser Permanente. Today, our very special guest is Azia Harris Martin. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Wow, it's I thought you had a teleprompter there at one point.
Right. You would think
most
so.
Of that stuff. So,
yeah, it was a
good job.
Appreciate it. It was, it was fascinating to see all the different achievements and things that you're doing. So, did my homework, as they say. So definitely glad to have you on the podcast. So two questions before we get started with the topic for today. Two questions that I asked my guest is, one, if somebody had to describe you, what would they say?
Who's asking?
Anybody. Or it depends on who you want to be asking. I'll say that.
I feel like this was almost the icebreaker at work today. And I tried to think about it, and then I didn't really think about it. But I guess if I had thought about it, this would have been easier. I think most of the time, most people will call me a hard worker.
Okay.
If you talk to anybody that knows me, though, the first thing that they'll mention is my smile.
Okay.
They'll probably say she's always smiling.
For sure.
And if I'm not, it's probably a bad day for me, which means it's going to be a bad day for you.
No,
I'm just kidding. But I would probably say just bubbly. At least I try, and I think that's what people think. But other than that, I would definitely say people call me like independent hard worker.
Okay, shout out. I definitely would have, I don't know you too well, but I would definitely have to say, just by your credentials, you're definitely doing something right. So another question I like to ask is recent. What would you title this chapter of your life?
Yeah. So every year for the past 6 years, I've always done a vision board.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I start. And I don't do kind of traditional vision boards.
Mm-hmm.
I do them in a different way. But the first thing I do is I kind of reflect on the last year and then think about what the next year or what that upcoming year should be.
Mm-hmm.
So this chapter of my life, this year of my life, is just called prosperity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shout out. That sounds like a gospel album I need to go buy. Well, shout out to you for that. So let's get into it again. We know that you have quite the resume and credentials. So my first question I want to ask you is just kind of talk about your upbringing and how you were raised, what you saw, and how that shaped basically the career path that you're on right now.
Yes, I think how I was raised, both my mom and my grandmother were teachers.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was in school administration. My grandfather worked I have two grandfathers, obviously, like everybody. One of my grandfathers was a police officer, and my other grandfather kind of worked at the plant. My dad was a police officer. My mom continued to teacher and then did other things. And now she works at GM in IT. And so I think being surrounded by both traditional white collar, quote unquote, workers and then traditional, quote unquote, blue collar workers. I was always like, I grew up knowing that there was no difference between the two. And I say that to say I never cared about getting my hands dirty and doing good work because it was always about being passionate or doing the best I could at the job that I currently have. And I think that's leaned me well. So I grew up in a Christian household, 2 parents, both sets of my grandparents were married. So being surrounded by family and love, I definitely think provided me a space and, you know, my word of the year of prosperity, thinking about how I can use what I have to really serve and give to other people.
Love it. And that's dope to hear because, you know, as you've probably heard, like myself, it takes a village to raise a child, and you had that village to not only raise you, but show you how to do things. And, you know, in order to be successful or be the top, you know, person at what you do, this is how you do things. And you had multiple examples to do that. So I think that's always great to hear because a lot more people need to see that, you know, our culture, our people, they are hardworking, you know, no matter what you see, whether you come from a good background, no matter your background, you can be focused if you have the tools and the people in your life that's going to guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, that I think that's my mom's favorite phrase is it takes a village to raise a child.
For sure.
She had me when she was in college. So I was also raised on a university campus, which I think has a strong sense of why I feel comfortable on a college campus, which is why I've spent more than a decade of my life on a college campus in school. It's probably related to that, but I think the other term that my mom used is spare the rod, spoil the child.
For sure.
I was definitely a village kid where I could get checked by anybody.
Yeah.
So I also think that had a profound impact on who I am. And even taking that into adulthood, something that is important is even if you are a village kid or weren't a village kid, something that I also do is I have kind of like my personal board of directors is what I call them. And so I have mentors that I know I can go to for life stuff. I have spiritual mentors that I know I can go to for things when I'm feeling, you know, spiritually left out. And they might be mentors. These might be friends that are my age. These might be people that are a little bit more wiser than I am. My mom and my dad are on my personal board of directors. I have somebody that I talk to about finances.
For sure.
Somebody I talk to about relationships and how I'm feeling in that area. So I also think doing that and like how that translates into adulthood is also really important.
And kind of let's kind of stay on that a little bit. You talked about how you have a board of directors in a sense to deal with like the different things in your life. How important do you feel like that is, and how much has it helped you?
Oh, it's helped me tremendously. I think it's very important. I think it also has to be people that you are comfortable checking you.
For sure.
And that's really hard to find as an adult.
Definitely.
You find somebody and you're like, well, should I trust them? But I have those personal, like those relationships. So all of those started as relationships. And the people I'm talking about, do I call them? And I'm like, you're my COO of my board of directors. No. Right? Like,
right.
It's all about kind of personal relationships and who they are to me and like kind of what they're able to pour into me, whether it's my career, whether it's about the research that I do. I try to see areas in my life and attach people to that. So I don't think I would have made it anywhere without their direct and indirect guidance. Has definitely been profound. For
sure. I love to hear that. And, you know, growing up, different people, you know, want to do different things. For me, growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut starting off. And that was really only because I had an action figure that was an astronaut and that quickly left. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because do you find that there is a difference in what you're doing now versus what you wanted to do at first? Like, or do you feel like you've always been doing what you set out to do?
What I tell my mentors or my mentees is that you don't chase titles, you chase purpose. And the titles come with your purpose. And so thinking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, I tried to find a book that I did in kindergarten, not for this, but I've been trying to look for it. I think it got ruined in a house flood, but like, I forgot what I said in kindergarten, but I can say what my mom tells me I said. She tells me I said I wanted to be a nurse, doctor, teacher. And when I think about that, I think as a child, as a however 4 or 5 year old, I likely didn't know what a nurse, doctor, teacher was. But I think fundamentally kind of digging a layer deeper in there and thinking about what a nurse does, which is like care for people in a time that they are struggling or a time that, you know, they're sick and they need something.
Yeah.
Or a teacher is providing somebody with knowledge that they didn't once have and, you know, doing it in a way that speaks to them. I think fundamentally I've always had a sense of trying to help people and trying to teach people, which, you know, I try to work on that a little bit because everybody don't want to be taught all the time.
For sure.
But trying to teach people and like spread knowledge and doing other things like that. I think those are the things when you ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up, it's a layer deeper. And like if they tell you a career, it might not be that career. It might be something about that. So like you saying you want to be an astronaut, it could be because you saw you had a figure, or it could be, hey, I want to go into higher heights, right? Like I want to do something that is like out of this world.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how I try to do my mentees and the girls that I met, like my little mentees. So like my older mentees, this is what I tell them: don't chase the purpose. Don't chase the career, chase the purpose. But my little mentees that are in 6th grade, 6th, 7th grade, I ask them what they want to do when they grow up, not necessarily what they want to be when they grow up.
Okay.
So it's like you are an individual, but what do you want to do? I think is a different question. So
For sure. Yeah, I like that. I like that answer when you talk about, you know, don't chase the titles, chase purpose. And so, again, this is one that I left out. So you are a chief program officer, correct?
yes.
So how did that position or opportunity come about?
Really God led. I think my whole career has been divinely orchestrated. But that exact, this current job was really out of relationships. And like I mentioned earlier, trying to do the best that I could with whatever position I was in. And I think people see that. Like people naturally see when you are just doing work, you don't have to tell them about it all the time.
Yeah.
And so this position, I was looking for a new opportunity. I felt that I had learned what I could learn at the company that I was formerly at, and looking for different ways to learn new things. And I don't know what I want to be when I grow up exactly. Like that's why I like chase the word. I don't think I know that this is not my stopping place, but I knew at least in my 20s that I wanted to learn as much as I could in as many places as I could, to see what I wanted to do, as like in term career, wise. And so I started just telling people, when they asked, hey, like, what are you doing? What are your plans? I said, well, I'm working here, but I think I've learned enough here, looking for other opportunities to just learn. And I mentioned that to a friend, and she mentioned that her job was hiring. I applied. At that point in time, it was kind of a demotion, and I was just like financially, I had just taken on some financial obligations that didn't allow me the flexibility of taking a pay cut. And so I was like, I really love this team. I really love the work y'all do, but financially, I don't think I can make that happen. But I told him, keep me in mind for if anything else comes up. And so 6 months later, he said, hey, I have this job, chief program officer. So now the department that you applied to, that's who is overseeing this department.
For sure.
And I took the opportunity.
That's what's up. And it seems like you're really adamant about what you do, but it goes back to what you said, when this is your purpose, it was never a time where you felt that, oh, I'm scared to do this or I'm scared to do that, because one, that was your background. That's what you saw every day. People were passionate about the things that they did, whether it was, teachers, police officers, and things of that nature. You saw that at an early age. So that built a mindset in you where it's like, no matter how hard this job is, I know this is what I love. So seeing that and understanding that and developing that mindset, what caused you to be so involved, or what sparked the curiosity to get involved with like healthcare?
So I was always interested in healthcare as early as I can remember. Likely why I said I wanted to be a nurse, doctor, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there was anything in particular. So I was in DAPSAP growing up, and I still loved kind of the biotech space when I learned kind of what that was and got exposed. So I can't think of a moment in time that got me interested in that. But how I got into material science was in in high school. My anatomy teacher told us, like weekly, we had to do kind of like weekly report outs, which I hated at the time, but they were definitely a good exercise because I got to learn a lot of like what are potential career opportunities if I don't want to go be a doctor, but who else, uses things that have to deal with the human body. And at that time, there was a lot of research budding about using pig cells for organs in humans because, genetically, they are the closest organ-wise. And I was like, oh, that's like super cool. Like, how could I do a career in this? And I found out that I could do that through kind of engineering and through science and research and tech development and research and development and things like that. So went to Michigan, went to go get, my material science degree to look into how to use bio, materials for 3D printing organs.
Yeah.
And then during that time, the Flint water crisis happened. And I understood the impact that had on children's health and how it would really long-term devastate that community because it was one of my research projects my senior year of undergrad. So with that, I wanted to go into health policy and management, which led me to Emory. And then after that, and career-wise, while I was in my career, I found I was on like a disaster response team for COVID. And so I felt like disasters they were following me, but I still love the healthcare space because there's the healthcare space has to function during a disaster because
most definitely
that's how people get care. So that kind of led me to think about and realize, and that's kind of the crux of my research. So when you ask that question, I don't know. I think it's always been like I knew I was going to be in the healthcare space, but how I thought I was going to be in the healthcare space is much different today than what I initially envisioned or thought I was going after.
Sure. And I like how you highlighted purpose, a few questions ago. And so in your personal opinion, what do you feel is the difference between your purpose and a career?
Yeah, so I think your purpose and career can be the same thing. I don't think it is for everybody. I try to make them one and the same. And my purpose or like my mission statement, right? Like as a Christian, my purpose is to get more people to say yes to Christ, right?
For sure.
That is the purpose.
Yeah.
I think I do that through a variety of ways. And I think your career as you think about it, can be a way to that.
Yeah.
And for me, means whatever space I'm in to show the light of Christ, allow him to show his light through me.
Yeah.
I think it looks different through different people because we're different vessels. And so when you think, sorry, I know I'm talking in a roundabout way.
Oh, no, you're good.
Like, purpose isn't a fundamental, like my career is my purpose. It's my career is how I live out my purpose. So like my mission in life, other than to bring more people to Christ, is I aspire to inspire before I expire.
Okay.
And that being the central purpose of why I get up every morning. And then my career being a way that I'm able to live out that purpose. I think also lets me say yes to a lot of different things, and it allows me to be open to different opportunities because I have my purpose, and a career is just a way to live out my purpose.
That's good. I like that. I'm probably gonna mess up the quote talking about, expire and all that. I've heard that before, and I always resonate with that quote. But when you look at all the things that you have been involved in, you're currently a chief program officer. What do you feel like drives you, like, to continue to do these things, other than I heard you speak on, healthcare is important when these disasters rise, and like, what is your sole reason for waking up every day, making sure like, hey, these people need this? Like, what drives you and keeps you going?
I mean, you just said it, the people. I think for me, working in healthcare space, caring about health equity, it is how can I help people live out their purpose? And for me, through a disaster, right? A disaster strikes, people can lose things physically. People have emotional tolls. It is one of the hardest, depending upon the disaster or the hazard that strikes. It could be very traumatizing. And so what keeps me going is remembering that the people that are, still here, thinking about how much they've lost, but trying to give them the best life and ensure that they have the best life moving forward after we recover from the disaster, I think keeps me going because I think it's possible. I'm a firm believer that we don't have a resource problem in this world. I think we have a logistics problem and we have a greed problem. And so that leads to inequities and that leads to disparities and people not having enough to survive. And so what can I do in the little space that I have, in the little ecosystem that I'm influencing? How can I make sure that the people that I touch, that they have the best possible life? I think keeps me going.
For sure. Love to hear that. And I think it's always important to, as Eric Thomas said, understand your why. Why you do what you do, what keeps you going, what motivates you, what pushes you. And the thing that stood out to me about you, again, I don't know you very well, but what sparked me to ask you to come on the podcast is just how involved you are in and doing something that makes a difference, right? I was telling my cousin the other day, like, everybody has a story, everybody has a message, right? NBA Youngboy got a message now. If that's the message that you should be taking in, that's for you to decide. J. Cole has a message. Eric Thomas has a message. Michelle Obama. All these different people have messages, but it's about what's going to move the needle in a positive light. What's going to help somebody and change their life in an impactful and positive way. And the thing that I can say that I respect about you just from afar is like you are pushing, and just us having this conversation today, you're pushing for people to have better lives. You're pushing for people, more importantly, to know who Christ is by way of how you live your life and the work that you do. And so many times people try to put people in a box like, oh, this is how people do things in regards to like being a Christian or doing anything in life. Like, they try to put people in a box where it's like, this is the default way we do things. You can't do it this way because it's not going to work, or that doesn't look like how I think this should be, or I don't think this looks like what Christ would have you to do, or what healthcare in this case looks like. But you're showing people day in and day out, like, I'm passionate about this, and I'm gonna do my best to find different ways that people can be safe, people can have good healthcare and be protected in these different, hard times. And through that, I'm going to reflect the character of Christ. So I really respect that and admire that.
Oh, thank you.
For sure. And so what is with your career and your relationship with God? And you talked about the different people that play a part in your life. What is a piece of advice that you've held on to?
It's so much. I think from my grandparents is you just give it all you got. And I think that's important. And then I have a couple scriptures that I am holding on to, as I say, this year in my year of prosperity. But
For sure.
so I would say between a couple of the scriptures that I have, 2 Corinthians 2:8, 2 Corinthians 2:8, or no, 2 Corinthians 8:8. And so I think between those two things, definitely that's what I'm holding on to.
For sure. And I never tell my guests about this next part. So we're going to play a game. It's called Let Me Get to Know You. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and you answer them to the best of your ability. You ready?
Like rapid fire questions, like first thing that comes to my mind, or...
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Okay, you save this for the end?
Yep.
Okay. Right.
So my first question to you is name your top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Lion King, Parent Trap, and Trolls.
That's a unique list.
I feel like people are gonna judge me, but that's all right. Like if someone's like, what movie can you watch over and over again? Those 3 movies I can watch over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, let's see. I would say Creed, especially the last one. I really enjoy like the
Jonathan Majors.
I enjoy like the brotherhood that Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors had, and it's like you really, I wouldn't say I sided with Damien, but I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
But you know, you got to do what you got to do. But you could really see like how he embodied that role. So Creed 3, or I guess you can group all of the Creeds together. Rocky. And
what's the theme here? Boxing movies, obviously.
Spider-Man. I would say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man U-verse is really good. I actually might turn that on tonight.
Yes, that would be a definite
U-verse
good
is
watch.
definitely good.
Definitely. Next question. Top 5 shows that you like.
So top 5. I'm more of like crime scene investigation type shows. So Monk, I can watch that over and over again. NCIS, like traditional NCIS, not one of the spinoffs. Let's see what else. Trolls, Netflix. I really love Trolls.
Shout out to Trolls. It's a pattern. Shout
Poppy
out.
just makes me happy. She just like keeps me going. Let's see what else. I'm like trying to think about like what's top on my The Simpsons. That's like that. Like I could turn on The Simpsons any day of the week, and then Law and Order SUV.
Okay.
Specific. Yeah, SVU.
Okay. Solid list. Shows for me. If y'all know, man. Snowfall. I hated how it ended, but I guess you live to fight another day. Snowfall. I say Family Matters. I'm gonna go Tom and Jerry. I like watching that. I can watch that like you any day of the week. Wow. I got 3 so far. I got Tom and Jerry. Family Matters, Snowfall. I'll go Teen Titans because I was just watching that last night. And I'm going to put Danny Phantom in there.
That's a good show.
I like Danny Phantom growing up. Next question. If it was you plus 4 people at dinner, you could pick anybody, any 4 people, who would you have join you for dinner?
Oh, these are like the dead or alive questions. Like they could be dead or alive.
They don't have to be. You know, they can be very much alive. So,
I feel like this is going to be very project manager of me. Like, what is the goal of this meeting? Is this to talk about me? Is this like I'm going to solve a world problem at this table?
It's all up to you. I mean,
Okay.
The way my brain was working, it was like, y'all just have dinner, some of your favorite people. Y'all could talk about things that's going to help the world. It's all up to you because you're the host.
I'm like,
you're hosting the dinner.
In this state of the world, I just feel like if I got people to agree to a meeting, I would probably choose. It's so bad, but I would probably choose like one of the world's conflicts, like one of them. And if I'm able to do it, like if this is a meeting where somebody is like, you can get people together and you solve a problem, I'm like, okay, great. I would choose one of the current humanitarian crises that are going on. Sudan, Palestine, Ukraine, you name it, Haiti, one of them. And I would get the 4 people that can solve this problem. And we would just sit and talk about how to move forward.
Okay.
In solving that problem.
That's
interesting. What I'm gonna say. I know people normally I would have Jay-Z and learn all his business advice. But for me right now, I'm just so concerned about the state of the world.
For sure.
My prosperity year, I know that God will supply all my needs. And I know that sounds very cliche, but I'm so serious. Like if I could have 4 people and over that meal we break bread and try to figure out how to move forward, that's what we would do. For
sure. I like it. That's very interesting, but I like it. I think that'll go very well. And like you said, it's the real world, real world problems. You want to get things solved. Me, I definitely would have Eric Thomas. That's a person that I respect from Detroit, motivational speaker, because I'm a person who wants to use any platform that I have to uplift others and speak positivity into people and do things that are greater than myself and that make a difference. So Eric Thomas, I would have Kevin Hart because I love like his business savvy mind, how he's always creating something, whether it's the LOL network or how he put his friends on. And I would have LeBron, Michelle Obama.
That's 4.
And
isn't that 4? You already said 4.
No, I said 5.
Oh, I thought you said we could only choose 4.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, it's a table of 5.
So I'm tripping. I'll keep Michelle Obama in there. So I'm gonna save this person for my next question. So my next question is, if you were in charge of a night of entertainment, this could be whatever. Y'all could play Uno, y'all could play Twister, y'all could have live music, y'all could have a comedian. What would that look like for you?
I feel like I'm so lame. This is so bad. Okay, wait. Can you ask the question? Is this a perfect night or am I planning a night of entertainment?
I'm gonna say, can you do both?
Yeah.
Perfect night and you planning it.
Okay, so perfect night. Okay, what's the goal of this night?
That's the project manager.
This is what I ask all my like, what's the goal here? What's the goal of this night?
It's just a night of entertainment.
Like, night
fun.
Of fun. Like,
yeah, just fun.
Okay. I'm a big food person. I feel like people can break bread with, like, a lot can happen over a good meal. I'm definitely a fan of something I want to get into. I haven't gotten into yet. Is to try to bake a dish or like make a dish from each country. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely do like what we cooking tonight. Let's all get in the kitchen, cook. That's why I wanted a space with a big kitchen. Music, gotta have all the vibes. I may not look or sound like it, but I'm a dance machine. Catch me on the cruise dance floor. Like, those are my vibes. So something with dancing, music, laughs, good wine, and then dessert.
Okay.
That is like, so I know, I guess my perfect night, now that I'm thinking about it, is like just something at home, like something home, comfortable, where people just feel like we're just here together. Yeah.
For sure. Who doing the live music? I know you mentioned live music.
Well, we could do karaoke because I love a good round of karaoke, but the music is probably gonna be we're gonna have to fluctuate because like I'm not good with the playlist. Like I play the same songs on repeat because I have ADHD, so like it's just the same couple of songs. So either one, we have to hire a DJ. Like that's always, it has to be a DJ. And or I turn on like Apartment Lifestyle on YouTube and I just let them give us the vibes. Or DJ Honeybee, I like her too, and they're just giving us the vibes.
Okay. For me, I definitely would have the vibe set up like, I forget what this particular stand-up was called by Kevin Hart. This is around the pandemic when he did his stand-up in his house or something like that. I would have it like that, but it would be in the backyard. This house that was, he was like an uncle to me. It was my dad's friend that he grew up with. He had like a super huge backyard. It would kind of be something like that. I would definitely have either Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Eddie Murphy.
Know we had an unlimited budget.
Yeah, I'm like you. You was like,
I might have to have Beyonce come through.
Right,
like,
that's what I'm saying. It's your night. It's no budget. It's none of that.
Yeah,
you just
hey. See, I
y'all
thought I
come
was
through.
planning the perfect night. I'm like, that's what I could do with my money. But, I
But
didn't
no,
know I had unlimited money.
Yeah, it wasn't no
maybe
budget.
You could bring Dave Chappelle with your money, but I know that's not the coins that I have in my pocket right now. So I was thinking for my state of mind. But
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's no budget, not at all. It's you plan it, you do you. But I would say my host would either be Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, or Eddie Murphy. The live music, shout out to my boy CB, Chris Brown. It'd either be Chris Brown or, depending on what day I have it on, I will have my boy Jonathan McReynolds come through and bless us, with the gospel music.
So you're gonna have raunchy comedy and then Jonathan to bless us.
That's why I said that's why I said depend on the day. It depend on the day. Depend on the day.
Okay, I mean you can have Kevin on stage and then Jonathan McReynolds.
Oh yeah, true. That's a good combo.
Have it a whole flow.
Yeah, keep me honest. After that, I probably had like my aunts come over and cook. Not really doing the get together, do it yourself type of thing.
So
my aunts are.
Oh yeah, I guess you could pay them.
Yeah,
because you got an unlimited budget.
Yeah, or pay them in love. That always works.
You just said you had an unlimited budget. Pay them in coins.
Yeah, my aunts, they are really great cooks, so I would have them chef it up.
What kind of food is it?
I'm definitely doing soul food. If not soul food, I'm gonna do Mexican food. Okay. And that's the vibes for the night. Yeah. Or the day. Depends on if it's daytime, nighttime, but we'll probably have it at nighttime. But before we get out of here, I always like to give my guests their flowers while they can smell them. So if there's anything that you would want anyone to know about the things that you're involved in, something new that you have coming, I want to give you that time to share that.
No. No. Let's see here. That's so difficult. My flowers are being able to sleep. But I purchased a home last year.
Okay.
I just finished renovating it. And so I'm like in the process of moving in. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
So that is kind of a personal, like what I'm excited about this year. Finishing my dissertation data collection, continuing to like supplement this government income with like speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to, I have a few speaking engagements this year that I'm looking forward to. So yeah.
Okay, shout out. I'm gonna be on the lookout for that. I don't know if we can get the invite or we gonna be able to pull up.
The conferences, but yeah, I mean y'all could pay the conference fees.
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer in, again, giving people their flowers while they can smell them, and just always showing love to people that are doing, great things and positive things that's going to help the community in a great way. And y'all know I cannot leave without
Look,
doing a
we
quote.
turning conversation
So,
into application.
the quote of
This
the
ain't for
day
you if you can't
is,
handle deep communication.
what you do
I see
makes
too
a
many
difference,
trying to teach when
so
they
you
need
have
all
to
the
decide
teaching.
what
If you
kind
can't
of
practice
difference
what you
you
preach,
want
then
to
what's the
make.
point of speaking?
Thank you for tuning in to the
we thank the
converSAYtion
Lord for
podcast. I'll
another
see y'all
season.
same
Don't think
time,
they ready for
same
you, Lee. I
place.
think them boys are sleeping, but we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.
Was it something I said or the way that I said it?
Look, we turning conversation into application. This ain't for you if you can't handle deep communication. I see too many trying to teach when they need all the teaching. If you can't practice what you preach, then what's the point of speaking? Look, we thank the Lord for another season. Don't think they ready for you, Lee. I think them boys are sleeping, but we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.